Hello, I'd like to welcome you all to my presentation on the Big Bang and the limited comprehension of established academia. How this came about is I was watching television and supposedly educational television over the years concerning the origins of our universe and other scientific programs that came up with the Big Bang or talked about the Big Bang, and they expressed it to be a solid scientific theory, very close to a law. And one of the things they presented was a picture of some sort of a oval-shaped green blob that is definitely two-dimensional and an insult of my intelligence. And I just looked at it, and I've seen this on several different shows on several different networks like PBS, Public Television, and History Channel, and Discovery, and Science Channel, and all of them will carry some sort of program on this. And again, I felt like it was insulting me to say that our universe is just a flat two-dimensional blob. You know, no matter what their purpose was or is in saying that, it's insulting. And so I'd like to clear it up and express what I think about their theories and why I think that the Big Bang is a farce. So here we go. So within the billions of stars in the Milky Way galaxy and the billions of galaxies in this universe of ours that this here green blob is supposed to represent, where do you think we are? It's obvious that the flat Earth establishment wants us to give up on the heliocentric view of the world and have us believe in the geocentric, and we are in the exact middle of the universe. So what do you suppose the odds against that happening are? In other words, what they have recorded is the distance that we can see, not the size of the universe. And in my mind, there's no question about it. That's the truth. When you study the history of the Big Bang Theory, you will find that it's partially based upon a red shift, which is like a Doppler effect is to sound, is to light. When something leaves a space, it gets red. When an object approaches, it shifts to blue. At least that's the theory of near light speed travel. And this theory was witnessed, or the effects of it were witnessed by Edwin Hubble, who they named the Hubble telescope after. And being a true scientist, he did not take that observation of this shift and take it any further than what he observed. So if the Doppler effect of light is true, what Hubble observed is that the objects that are further away from us, like galaxies and nebula and whatever things that are hundreds of thousands of whatever light years away from us, that because of this red shift, the further that objects are away, the theory is that the faster that they are receding and going away from us. And so that led to a theory that everything had to originate from one place, one singularity is what they call it. And that theory was produced by a guy by the name of Georges Lemaitre, and he, besides being scientist and interested in astrology, I might as well say that, instead of astronomy, it seemed like astrology, because he was also a Catholic priest. And he said that it was that theory leaves us with a cosmic egg exploding at the moment of creation. So he believed, or wanted to believe, that there is scientific proof that the Earth and the whole universe came from nothing, and that would help justify and prove that supernatural power, God, did it and made the universe happen. And there was nothing until God came and waved the magic wand and whatever in 7 days or whatever, and fit all into the biblical Judeo-Christo-Islamic philosophy of life, the God-centered philosophy of life. And I believe that that is what the actual theory, the Big Bang Theory, is based on. The fact is, it was not Edwin Hubble nor Georges Lemaitre who coined the term Big Bang. What happened was Fred Hoyle heard the cosmic egg of God's creation theory, and he was so flabbergasted by it that he called that theory the Big Bang. So it was Fred Hoyle who coined the term Big Bang. So the advocates of a two-dimensional universe are to Fred Hoyle what the flat earthers were to Galileo. They just hate them. They hated them. I partially explained my first point in opposition of the Big Bang Theory earlier, and that is, what are the odds of the Earth being the center of the universe, which I believe is required in order for the Big Bang Theory to be true. And my second point I'd like to make is that in all the pictures of this supposed edge of the universe, the galaxies and the nebula look very similar to closer objects in the universe. So therefore, how could that be the edge of the universe in the beginning of time if it's exactly like the near objects are? My third point in the argument is that, let's say that there was a singularity of all the matter in the universe that we could see, that was within our distance, and it all came into one place. Time and space would still be there. In fact, it requires, the theory of the Big Bang requires time and space to still be in place before, during, and after the Big Bang. So it is not a creation, beginning of everything, even if the Big Bang is true in the part where all of the matter that we can see in our locality is in a singular location. Stop. There are three major phenomena or properties of the physical realm. They are time, space, and matter. I left out energy because I don't know of any energy occurring without time, space, and matter on its own. It's all related. Each form of energy comes from some reaction between matter and the time and space. So if in fact there was a Big Bang 13.7 billion years ago, they say now, that why wouldn't there be other Big Bangs in time and other Big Bangs in space? So if you were to look a greater distance away, maybe there is another singularity somewhere. Or you can't prove that there isn't. To put this in perspective, the human body has somewhere between 50 and 100 trillion cells. So if you were to look at just 13.7 billion cells, you'd just be looking at like part of the big toe or something. And I've never heard anybody even suggest that the human body is infinite. For the Big Bang Theory to be valid, not only does it require that there is a finite amount of matter in the universe, it also requires that there would be a finite amount of time and space. And with what time and space are, I believe that they are infinite in their own realm. Here's another depiction of a flat universe as it goes through time. Courtesy of NASA, paid for by you and I. I believe that an infinite universe is something scary for the powers that be, because they rely on a God-centered philosophy of life in order to justify their power and authority and their wealth. It would just, I think that it's too scary for them to admit that the universe actually is infinite. Those in the scientific community that cater to the agenda of the management and the administration advance, and those that follow pure science don't. This is a fact. I think a finite universe fits their psyche, and that to them is more important than science. And it does twist science, just as myself, I do not have all the proofs that the universe is an infinite entity, but I believe in it. It suits my psyche because I feel part of something bigger than being subject to anthropomorphic God worldview. I hope you enjoyed this, and questions and comments are welcome. I don't care. Even you can cuss, you can do say anything that you want on my channels, and I don't mind. You know, even if some ad hominem cuts and stuff, I don't mind. It doesn't bother me. Say whatever you want. See you now.